Let us study the white matter of the spinal cord in this video. As we have seen earlier, a section of spinal cord shows a central core of grey matter arranged around the central canal and an outer layer of white matter which is made up of nerve fibers, neuroglia and the blood vessels. Let us see the fissures and sulci on the surface of spinal cord. There is an anterior median fissure and a posterior median sulcus which sends in a septum. These two will divide the spinal cord into right and left halves. Then we have a dorsolateral sulcus which marks the site of attachment of dorsal roots and a ventrolateral sulcus which marks the site of attachment of ventral roots. Plus, in the upper half of the spinal cord, we also see a dorsal intermediate sulcus which is between the posterior median and dorsolateral sulcus. The white matter which is located between the posterior median sulcus and dorsolateral sulcus is called as dorsal column or dorsal funiculus. The white matter which is present between the dorsolateral and ventrolateral sulci, that is the sites of attachment of dorsal root and ventral root, that is called as lateral funiculus. The part of the white matter which is located between the anterior median fissure and the point of exit of the ventral roots is called as ventral column or ventral funiculus. The white fibers which are crossing in front of the grey commissure and behind the grey commissure are called as anterior white commissure and narrower posterior white commissure. The white matter is made up of different types of fibers. They are the ascending tract fibers, descending tract fibers, propriospinal tracts which span only few segments of the spinal cord, the dorsal roots which are entering the spinal cord, or the ventral roots which are exiting the spinal cord. Ascending tracts are either made up of primary afferents, that is the fibers coming from the dorsal root itself, as in case of dorsal column, or they may be made up of fibers from the spinal neurons, which is the case with all other ascending tracts. Propriospinal tracts again can be ascending or descending. What are the different types of nerve fibers? The smaller sized nerve fibers are found in the fasciculus gracilis, dorsolateral tract of Lissor, as well as in the central part of the lateral funiculus. Larger fibers, on the contrary, are seen in the fasciculus cuneatus, ventral funiculus and peripheral part of the lateral funiculus. Now let us see the different tracts in the white matter. On the right hand side, for our convenience sake, I will be showing the ascending tracts and I will be showing the descending tracts in the left half of the diagram. Please note, both the tracts are present on both sides of the spinal cord. So let us start with the ascending tracts. The dorsal column is made up of two fiber bundles, a medially located fasciculus gracilis and laterally located fasciculus cuneatus. Please practice drawing this diagram. Along the lateral circumference, we have a bundle of fibers which is made up of two tracts, a posterior spinocerebellar tract and anterior spinocerebellar tract. Just inside the spinocerebellar tract fibers, there is another bundle of fibers which extends both in the lateral column as well as in the ventral column. Now this is made up of lateral spinothalamic tract, spinotectal and spinoreticular tract fibers and anterior spinothalamic tract. Anterior to the anterior spinocerebellar tract, we also see spino-olivary tract. So these are the ascending tracts, at least these few you should know the position of. Now let us see the descending tracts. In the lateral funiculus, we find the lateral corticospinal tract. Ventromedial to it, we find the fibers of rubrospinal. And closer to the intermediate region, we find the lateral reticulospinal tract. In the ventral column, we find ventral corticospinal tract along the anterior median fissure. At the anterior angle, we have the tectospinal tract, and along the anterior margin, we have the vestibulospinal tract, also carrying the ventral reticulospinal fibers. In the region between anterior median fissure and the ventral horn, we also see two smaller tracts, that is medial reticulospinal tract, and in spinal cervical segments, we also see descending fibers of medial longitudinal fasciculus. So these are the descending tracts which you should know the position of. Please understand, this is a schematic diagram. The position of these tracts vary at different levels of spinal cord. In addition to these ascending and descending tracts, we also have two sets of fibers wherein fibers are both ascending and descending. One is the dorsolateral tract of Lisor, and the second is a band of fibers which will be just adjacent to the gray matter called as propriospinal tract. Here we have fibers which are both ascending and descending. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please visit this site for other videos of the similar nature.